welcome to Round Robin. I'm your host, Robin McCormick with the City of Hampton, and today we have an interesting guest. The main star of the show is Molly, who is a therapy dog and works with people, and she's represented by her owner as well, Melanie Paul, and Clean City Commission Debbie Blanton. Welcome.
Thank you for inviting us.
Melanie, you and Molly are the star of so many things. You started the Pause to Read program at the Hampton Library, and she's a therapy dog, and she's the spokes dog for the Clean City Commission programs. Tell us what it is about dogs that connects with people.
Dogs offer emotional support, unconditional love. When a person sees me bringing my dogs into the hospitals or to a time, their faces light up. They look so happy because every day they see humans. But when they see a fur child coming in, they get so happy. They start talking about their own dogs. My background is in psychology and counseling. And I let the people talk because that's what they want to do. So if they want the dog on the bed, they would have Molly on the bed and they would stroke and they think, and just by stroking, it can reduce your blood pressure.
It can reduce your blood pressure. I recently read a story about people with dogs have lower rates of depression and, you know, interact better with others because it releases stress.
Yes, that's true. They also live longer, I was told.
Yes, I think they do. And I should explain to people at this point, Melanie, you became deaf at the age of 12, and you read lips very well, but we're using an interpreter today to make sure you understand and can communicate.
Yes.
And I can understand you pretty well, but if people, you know, it'll explain the differences in your voice. In my voice, I have to say I just have a cold, so. So, Melanie, Molly is only one of 3 therapy dogs that you have.
Yes, I do. They're all registered therapy dogs. I had a 4th one, but he's in heaven now.
Well, tell us about them, and also tell us, you have one dog who's a little bit special.
No, I don't do favoritism with any of my dogs. But Molly is my veteran therapy dog. She has been doing pet therapy 9 years now. And she has 725 documented visits.
So 725
125,
visits.
yes.
And that means she goes to, what are some of the places you take Molly?
Well, every time we do a visit, we have to have the paper signed by the Rules of Therapy Dogs International.
So this is very official.
Yes, and then they would get their pins. This pin is for 500 documented visits. She received that in 212. So we go to different schools with the after-school program with Debbie. We work at the Careplex Hospital in Hampton. I started that program also 12 years ago with Shiloh. I started the program at Langley Air Force Base Hospital also 6 years ago. Then we have the Pause to Read Library program, and I also take my dogs to the Veterans Administration Hospital.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Including the domicile area. And then we visit at the Devonshire Retirement Home, and the people that love my dogs, we're busy. We do 3 to 4 visits a week.
Wow, that's a lot, Melanie. How do you have time for that?
I'm retired now. When you're retired, you're more busy than ever.
I've heard.
Lovely busy.
But you're retired and you get to do the things that mean the most to you.
Yes, it means a lot to me to share my dogs with other people, to make them happy. That's the point in everything, the children and the dogs and the adults in hospitals.
And I will also say, I see you at City Hall pretty frequently. You volunteer as well as a member on the Mayor's Commission for Disabilities, or Committee for Disabilities, and also on the Animal Control Advisory Board. Why? Why do you give so much time to the City of Hampton?
I'm a giving person. Like I said in meeting counseling, I want to make a difference. People say, well, I don't want to volunteer, I'm retired now, I'm going to just sit at home. Why should I give back? I don't get anything in return. But what I get in return is to see the difference I'm making in the lives of people, in children, in adults, with the city, with the animal control. I just love to give back of myself. I love to.
Well, we really appreciate all you do.
Thank you.
Now, Debbie, you do a lot of programs with kids in schools and after-school programs, and sometimes you go in alone or you go in with another non-fur person. And
Right.
actually, so what is the difference in the reception you get when you come in with all grown-ups versus when you come in with a dog?
The children are immediately drawn to the dogs. Usually, at least lately, it's been Molly and Lothair. And they immediately pay more attention to what we're saying. We have a story that we read. It's called Molly and Pets for a Cleaner and Greener Hampton. Melanie and I developed it, and we take it to the schools with us, and we read the story. I read the story. Melanie gives the children lessons on good behavior with dogs, because we teach them how to have good manners with dogs. And then after they've had that lesson, then they get to pet Molly and Lothair. And if they're a really enthusiastic crowd, we'll ask them to promise Molly that they will make sure to keep Hampton clean and green.
Isn't that just amazing? Like, they wouldn't promise you guys, but they would promise the dog.
Right. Oh, and enthusiastically, too. And unfortunately, sometimes parents come to get the children before the program's over, so they always get to pet the dogs before they go. And it's, if they don't get to pet if their parents say, well, come on, let's go, we've got to go, then they cry on the way out. So it's like, they just respond so strongly.
And let me also ask, Pets for a Cleaner and Greener Hampton, part of what you're teaching them, I mean, it's ecology in general and it's how to keep Hampton green, but let's talk about pet waste for a minute, because that's Molly's big issue.
That's Molly's big issue, that's Melanie's big issue, and it's a big one with me, too.
A lot of people don't think about it because it's
really
a natural product. I mean,
Right.
you know?
And so they don't think about how many pets we have in Hampton, how many dogs we have in Hampton, and the cats that are outside as well. But pet waste is loaded with bacteria and sometimes other parasites. And so it's really important for water quality and also for just quality of life to pick up your pet waste. I can't tell you how many times I've stepped in it, and I'm not a happy person after I step in it. And so it's very, very important to help children understand early on that pet waste is a problem, that if you have a pet, you have to be responsible for taking care of it. And that's part of what Melanie teaches with her pet manners. She talks about taking your pet to the vet, being kind to your pet, recognizing that it has feelings. But she also talks about how to approach an animal safely and how to behave when an animal approaches you. It's a great lesson for the kids. They really enjoy it.
You know, it's interesting because you're teaching them basic courtesies and caring and those human scale lessons, but because you're using the dog,
they pay a lot more attention.
It gets through.
And they dearly love Molly and Lothair. They really do.
Well, Melanie, they're also beautiful dogs. How long does it take you to train these dogs?
Well, Molly and other dogs are registered with Therapy Dogs International. to become a registered therapy dog, they also receive their license. They receive their liability insurance. They should start when they're puppies. If you get an older dog, then you should take them to a breeding school because the dogs must learn how to socialize with other dogs, with other people. So basically, with my dogs, all three of them received their license by the time they were a year old. They have to be a year old. It would have taken me, well, we start with the 3 months old, but 6 to 9 months to train them because every evaluation step is 12 steps. They have to pass all 12 steps when they're evaluated to be a therapy dog. If they miss one, they have to do it again. So basically, it should take about 6 to 9 months to train a dog to pass all those tests.
But Melanie, you also trained your dogs to sign language, to sign commands.
Well, I trained my deaf dog because when I retired from the Department of Education 6 years ago, my goal was to acquire a deaf dog to work with the deaf children in the public schools. We no longer have a school for the deaf here. And I got Lot there from a breeder of show dogs. He just happened to be born deaf and right. Brought him home when he was 3 months old and I started to teach him language. The same way a deaf child is taught signs. You show them a food or a biscuit, an apple, water, you do it at the same time. Right there, passed his test using only sign language. He understands 18 different signs, such as sit, come, wait, food, go for a walk. He also understands bathroom, because that was the first time I had to teach him and brought him home.
Oh, I bet.
So I sign to him every day. When I talk with my other dogs, he's always included in the conversations.
What a special connection. I mean, a dog is a special connection for children anyway, but for deaf children who maybe feel more apart, to see that, connection with a deaf dog is amazing.
Oh, yes. We used to go for 2 years to Hunter B. Andrews Elementary School. Right there in Loxie, I work with the deaf children in the classroom. They would come once a week. The teacher designed the class so that if the behavior was good, they would be able to read to the dogs.
So the dogs were a reward, right?
Yes, it was. And then after that, the children were transferred to mainstream programs, so we stopped. But Lothair loves to watch signs because he is visual.
Very visual dog.
The person is visual, we can't hear anything, but we're always lucky. And they did a wonderful job.
That's amazing. Well, we need to wrap up now, but I want to thank you so much for coming and sharing with us.
Thank you very much for having us.
And thank you to Molly, too, of course.
We're gonna go, Molly. Do you want to go now?
Okay, and thank you, Debbie. Thank you guys for working with our old people and our children. Thank you, and thank you for watching this episode of Round Robin.